This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Today's Tuesday, which means we're doing a top 5 list, and well, this topic was actually suggested on the live stream a few weeks ago, and I can't believe I've never done this one before, but it turns out I haven't, so I'm doing it now. The topic in question is one-hit wonders. These are by no means the most significant or most influential, or, you know, in any kind of objective way of measuring them, the best one-hit wonders. They're just my favourites, you know. And when I first thought about this, I thought, oh, this is going to be absolutely jam-packed with stuff from the 70s. But the ones that sprung immediately to mind were, for most part, from the 1990s. I don't know if that says something deep and profound. The other thing I noticed when I was just kind of doing a little bit of Googling to make sure I hadn't missed any obvious candidates were that there were many, when you Google one-hit wonders, there were many songs that you think, yeah, but that band had loads of hits. You know, but most of these lists are compiled in, you know, I guess on American or, you know, kind of international websites where perhaps the artist concerned only had one big international hit, even though they had many hits over here. Thin Lizzy, for example, I saw The Boys Are Back in Town listed as a one-hit wonder, you know, on a couple of websites, and I thought, well, you know, they had a long and illustrious career with many hits, but there you go. I just mentioned that because there's possibly going to be one or two songs on this list here that you think the same of, like that wasn't a one-hit wonder. You know, they had a string of kind of successes, but, you know, in the UK here, certainly as far as I'm aware, all of these songs on this list are indeed one-hit wonders. So let's see what we've got here then, starting with
What's Up by Four Non-Blondes.
Yes, an impossibly catchy song. An all-female group, I believe. I might be wrong, but you know, visually striking. That female singer with the big hat and everything, and you know, I think probably the reason why they were one-hit wonders was because I thought they were going to be huge. I thought, you know, this is, you know, sort of, it was round about the time, as I recall, I might be a year or two out, but it was round about the time that, you know, the whole Manchester scene was happening in the UK, and, you know, you had bands like the Inspiral Carpets and later on Oasis and all of that kind of crew, that I thought this was very much an American version of that, and sadly it wasn't to be, but, you know, I lost count of the number of people I taught this song to back in the day. It was one of those songs that, you know, was, if you have a capo, you can play it without bar chords. I think it's G, A minor, C and D if you capo up at the second fret. So ideal beginner material, and, you know, when a beginner can play something that's on the radio, you know, they feel a certain sense of satisfaction. And unlike many songs that I taught again and again and again and again and again that I absolutely never want to hear again, Wonderwall, you know, this one I still enjoy listening to it. It's you know, I have like a little Spotify playlist with this and a bunch of other songs on it. You know, still enjoy it, still like it. Bit of a one-hit wonder. That's why it's on the list. Next,
Dance the Night Away by the Mavericks.
Yes, indeed. Another one that was beginner fodder because, again, capo up at the second fret, and I think you can play this with a D shape and an A shape. 2 chords all the way through. That's it. You know, it just doesn't even kind of change the order of the chords. And, you know, I think that takes a degree of skill that is perhaps unrecognised. If you can take just 2 chords and write an entire song, an entire international massive hit song, you know, out of those 2 chords, then, you know, to me it's, you know, you're creating something, you're creating a lot out of not very much. You know, it's like me granny used to be able to make about half a dozen different meals out of a tin of sardines and an OXO cube. You know, not quite, but you know what I'm saying. So there is a skill in this, I think. And once again, I taught this song many, many times. I played it in at least, I think, 2 different bands. Might actually do, it's a kind of quite a nice little tuneful guitar solo there on that song. Might do a solo analysis of that at some point. Let me know what you think about that. But yeah, I actually got the album that this comes from. The album's called Trampoline, and it's a really good album, actually. It's kind of bluesy, soulful Americana with pop elements all over it, and with a little bit of kind of a jazz feel in places as well. It's got more depth to it than this big 2-chord international smash hit, one-hit wonder would have you believe. And they were the irony of this band is that they'd kind of paid their dues and been around for many a year, I believe, and then kind of folded pretty much pretty soon after this whole thing. They were quite fated. There was a televised gig of theirs that was where they were playing at the Royal Albert Hall in London, and then a year later, or maybe not even that, but they were just all going their separate ways, which I think is a shame. But at least they had a massive hit. Next.
There She Goes, by the Lars.
Yeah, again, another one from, was this the 80s, or the late 80s, or the early 90s? I can't remember, but just one of those impossibly catchy earworms, isn't it? I remember reading, back in the days when I used to read Q magazine, if anyone still reads that, there was an interview with Eric Clapton. I think this will have been 1990, because he'll have been promoting his Journeyman album, which came out at the back end of 89, I think. So it was, round about that time anyway. And the interviewer was asking him what current music he was listening to, and he absolutely raved about the Lars, more so than they did, because again they were interviewed in the same publication. Round about the same sort of time, maybe a little bit after, and they pretty much disowned this massive hit and the whole album. They said they hated it, that it was too poppy. The producer had basically ridden roughshod over all of their ideas that they wanted, and they just didn't feel that it was representative of who they were musically. Lee Mavers, the main songwriter from this band, I think did a support tour with Paul Weller at one point, but I don't think that ended well, as I recall. I think he was, he was asked to leave the tour. I might be wrong on that. If you know any of the details, but I know that this was pretty much the Lars and Lee Mavers' only hit. What a great song, though. It's incredibly catchy. If you don't know it, all of these are linked down in the description. Go and check it out. Next,
Kung Fu Fighting, by Carl Douglas.
Yes, indeed, the one and only one from the 70s. I thought there would be more 70s fodder in here. Maybe I might do a subcategory video, one-hit wonders of the 70s. I might just do that at some point. But yeah, Kung Fu Fighting, cashing in on the sort of martial arts craze of the 70s, like Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, and I think the TV show, with David Carradine, that was pretty big on TV at that time. I didn't understand what the heck was going on that TV show, but then again, I was only probably 9 years old at the time, all the kind of flashbacks and everything, but I did know it was exciting, and this song, was kind of just, I thought it was maybe something to do with the TV show at the time. Obviously it wasn't. Carl Douglas was a session singer who, just, I think, a studio owner let him record this song as a favour or something, and I think it was originally intended to be a B-side, but as was the way in those days, radio stations started playing it and it became a hit. It was his only hit, but as the man himself said, if you're going to have one hit, this is the way to do it, isn't it? It's still being talked about, 50 years later or thereabouts. How do we know that? Because I'm sat here talking about it, I guess. Just impossibly catchy and a good old bit of cheesy 70s fun. I love it. Next.
The One and Only, by Chesney Hawkes.
Yeah, this one written apparently by Nick Kershaw, which you can kind of picture this, being a Nick Kershaw song. You know, I always thought he was quite the talented singer-songwriter who was marketed as being a teeny bop idol in the early 80s. But by the time the early 90s came around, you know, he wasn't getting the hits anymore, so he started, writing songs for other people. And this song comes from the soundtrack of a movie, Buddy's Song, where Chesney Hawkes, I believe, plays the main character, who is the son of Roger Daltrey's character in the movie. I did see the movie many, many years ago, but I can't really remember much about it. It was entirely forgettable, frankly. But this one song, it's, you know, if you went to see a band, and whether it was, you know, a functions band or a rock band in a rock venue or just a kind of working men's club band, social club band, whatever, and they didn't play this, then people would be, you know, kind of shouting for it. If you were playing in bands, as I was at the time, then you absolutely had to do this song. Nifty little guitar solo on this one, by the way. Go on, as I said, go and check out the link in the description. I remember the band I was in really kind of struggling with this guitar solo, because it's a bit tricky, it has to be said. Maybe I'll do what I've been doing on a few songs lately, and see if the intervening years have made it any easier. See if I can get my hands around it this time. We shall see. But yeah, fantastic, immediately catchy song, and a well written song. It's a song that does things like key changes, like I was talking about in that video yesterday about that song By the Feeling. It's a song that feels like it's, you know, it turns a lot of different corners and does some interesting and very satisfying modulations between different keys without trying to be too kind of look at me, I'm clever about it. It just, you know, it's done in a very musical way, and you know, great song, great guitar solo. Shame you only ever had the one hit, but them's the breaks, I suppose. So there you go, folks. Those are my personal favourite one-hit wonders. Certainly the ones that came to my mind when I was, initially kind of doing this list. Maybe, as I say, I'll do maybe a part 2 of this at some point in the future. I'm sure you have some suggestions of songs that could be on it. Leave those down in the comments. You know, if I've mentioned any of your favourite songs here that you think weren't one-hit wonders, maybe they weren't wherever you live, then let me know. Or if there's any that you think I've been remiss in not mentioning, once again, let me know. You know where the comment section is down below. Fill it all up down there for me. But that is pretty much the video for today, folks. Hope you found this entertaining and informative in some small way, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday 5 PM UK time, where we drink beer and talk about music and guitars and a whole range of other great things. Fantastic way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.